Kaylee, in the last day, 96 people in Tulsa have contracted the coronavirus. Wondering about this rally coming up on Saturday. Will the president or the White House take responsibility if people get sick and catch the coronavirus at this rally on Saturday?
So the campaign has taken certain measures to make sure this is a safe rally, temperature checks, hand sanitizers, and masks, so we are taking precautions.
You're not requiring people to wear masks.
They will be given a mask. It's up to them whether to make that decision. CDC guidelines are recommended but not required.
And the CDC guidelines suggest that people practice social distancing. You're not going to be able to practice social distancing in a rally with thousands of people. So aren't you, in essence, bringing people to a rally where they won't be abiding by those guidelines?
It's the personal choice of individuals as to what to do, but if we want to talk about internal coherence, I believe that the media needs to work on internal coherence. This wonderful New York Post story, I don't think Stephen Nelson's here, but good job to the New York Post, highlights the hypocrisy of the media where this is okay, protesting, this is not okay, Trump rallies. It's really remarkable, and I think the American people have taken notice when, for instance, NBC tweets at 4:05 p.m. On June 14th, rally for Black trans lives draws packed crowd to Brooklyn Museum Plaza, seeming to be lauding the protests. And then less than an hour and a half later, they say President Trump plans to rally, but health experts are questioning that decision. CBS had a similar, logically inconsistent tweet.
Protesters protesting against injustice, against racism and police brutality. This is a rally, a political rally. They're not going to be demonstrated for any kind of cause.
These Trump rallies, we do rally in support of something. We rally in support of the president who got us the lowest number of black unemployment in the history of our country and paychecks going up. We rally that HBCU funding for historically black colleges and universities is permanent because of President Trump. We rally, but to say no, because Jim, you suggested that we don't rally on behalf of anything. So let me note one more thing. We rally on behalf of criminal justice reform and the First Step Act, which President Obama and Vice President Biden talked about, but we did.
Because nothing says that this administration is concerned about tens of thousands of Americans possibly contracting a virus in a state currently seeing spikes in their outbreak as blaming the media for covering the protests positively. This is Trump's press secretary doing what this administration does best and deflecting when held to account for Trump's impending rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, first of all, Kaylee can stand up there and pretend that the Trump campaign is in any way acknowledging CDC guidelines, but the entire event in and of itself runs counter to CDC guidelines. We're in the middle of a global pandemic where over 120,000 Americans have died in the last few months, and even gatherings of 10 people aren't recommended. And yet Trump is trying to shove 20,000 people into an arena, plus another 10 in an overflow venue, and we're supposed to believe that CDC guidance is actually a consideration here? Come on. Even the Oklahoma Department of Health Commissioner Lance Fry said unequivocally that those attending the rally, quote, will face an increased risk of becoming infected with COVID-19. By the way, you gotta love how Kaylee's answer to all of this is hand sanitizer. As if, while packing tens of thousands of people into an arena, some bottles of hand sanitizer are gonna do the trick. Like the issue all along is that there simply wasn't enough Purell. Kaylee even says that there's going to be a temperature check, and that's all well and good, but here's the thing. The reason this virus is so dangerous is because it can be spread asymptomatically, so you don't need to be sick to be able to spread it. In fact, that's how and why it spread so fast once it got to this country. So I get that pretending this virus isn't a real and present danger is a thing for this administration, but purposeful ignorance is not a good strategy for keeping people safe. Now, I do want to speak on the difference between the protests and a campaign rally. But first of all, in fairness, there is a risk presented with these protests, absolutely. We'd be kidding ourselves not to acknowledge that. However, one difference off the bat is that these protests have been outside, while the rally would be indoors, where the risk is inherently higher. Not a huge difference, but a difference nonetheless. But more importantly is that these protests were born out of a desperate need to address the issue of police brutality. Black people are getting killed by police. They're being murdered at an alarming rate. So these protests aren't a fun day out. They're not an event for the whole family to enjoy. They are a nationwide plea for survival for a vulnerable portion of the population. Black people are dying anyway, so what's the alternative to not protesting? Waiting for the next one to happen? So I get that there are risks to congregating in public, but honestly, if you're black in America, there are risks to not congregating in public right now. There are risks in failing to speak out, and George Floyd's death is a testament to that. A Trump rally, however, is not reflective of any life or death situation. There's no societal upside. There's only Trump getting his daily dose of adulation. That's it. And on the flip side, he's actually creating an unnecessary risk by congregating people who don't need to be congregated together. And it's happening in a state where Republican leadership has been so averse to acknowledging the reality about the virus and instead falling over itself to reopen prematurely that cases are spiking. And the epicenter of the outbreak in Oklahoma? Tulsa, the site of the rally, because of course. So when Kayleigh tries to land her gotcha moment against the media for treating the protests and the rally differently, that's because they are. Protesters are marching for their lives. They're marching to reform a system that the vast majority of Americans believe needs reform. They're marching because if they don't, they may be the next American to die at the hands of a police force that has for too long operated with impunity. Trump's holding a rally because he wants people to clap for him. There is a difference. If you like that video, please check out my brand new podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I'll cover the most important political stories of the week and interview major players in the world of politics. Available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out and subscribe now.